Good evening everybody, Slavomir Judek here. I'm so excited because it's been a while since I uploaded a video with telemetry analysis in Motec. Yes, in Motec. Finally, the day has come. I'm so excited because finally I managed to find somebody who uses a motion cockpit in sim racing, and he isn't a very active sim racer, so he's an enthusiast. So it's a great opportunity to analyze from the very beginning his style, to find errors, to get rid of them, and to go forward, because he has a motion cockpit, so he can feel the forces. So it's much better than analyzing a person who doesn't have such a cockpit and can't feel the forces, both longitudinal and lateral forces. Okay, so let's start. In front of you, you can see two files. Maybe a very short background. This person, as I mentioned before, is not an active sim racer. He's an enthusiast. And he told me he'd done he before we started our analysis, he had done a couple, I think about 50 or something laps in his private car on a racing track. So he you will see he knows how to drive, but still there's a lot of errors which make him slower. So let's start. You can see two files. First stint with telemetry analysis and second stint with telemetry analysis. And they were done 2 and 4 days ago. And you can see that the gap between the laps is more or less 0.3 of a second. And he made the best lap in his first ever stint. So of course, after the analysis of the first stint, we had a goal, and he tried to improve his style, his technique in the second stint. And even though the time is 0.3 seconds slower, it's not that important at the moment because we are the very beginning, very beginning. So the track we use is Poznan track, Poznan racing track from Rfactor 2, and the car we use is Renault Megane. Okay, so let's see the data. Okay, before we make a comparison between the two stints, I want to show you the first stint, and today we are gonna see only the driver inputs, and especially throttle application, throttle work. Okay, so as you can see, standard view, so to speak, speed, throttle position, brake position, gear and steering. Plus we have gauges here of the steering wheel and the brake and pedal, but I'd like to focus here on the throttle. We can switch to this tab. We can see everything here, the bigger graphic. On the bigger graph, sorry. Okay, so let's see the track. Okay, and one more thing, you can see that he did only like 3 lap times with outlap and inlap, overall 5 laps, and he did his best lap on the first lap. So actually, it's not. You shouldn't do that because the more you drive, the higher tire pressure you have, and better temperatures and grip, etc. So of course we want to do this in a very realistic way, as if we were on a track day or something, and we want to improve our technique and style. So we are not like professional drivers, etc. So okay, so we can start our analysis. That's the track, as you can see here, and we are on the main straight. And I know this track because I used to live very close to this track, and had an opportunity to analyze both sim racing telemetry files from this video, from this track, and real telemetry files from this track. So I can say, yeah, I know how you should drive around this track. Okay, so what can we see? We are approaching the first corner, which by the way is very important. You can lose or gain, usually lose a lot of time taking this corner the wrong way. So only on this main straight with the first corner and this straight here you can lose a lot of time, believe me. Okay, so what can we see? That's turn number 1, and you can see that the throttle work is very poor, because the general rule is when you start applying throttle, you should start applying throttle when you are sure you will not ease off the throttle exiting the corner. So when the graph goes up, it should always go up to 100%. The rate or the speed, how fast it goes, is the secondary thing, because yeah, the quicker you apply full throttle, the better. But as I said, the general rule of thumb is when you start applying the throttle, make sure you will use all of the throttle. And what can we see in turn number 1? We can see that the driver starts applying throttle, and he reaches about 65% of the throttle being here. So you can see that it's like turn entry, still turn entry. And what happens? He eases off the throttle up to 20%, then again, and basically it's a mountain, right? Like up and down, up and down. Of course, with the distance, the throttle, yeah, the graph goes up, but it's not smooth at all. It's like ups and downs, and it's very poor for both for lap time, the car, the tires, and yeah, basically it's very bad. So this turn is bad. The throttle application in this corner is very bad. Okay, so we exit turn number 1, and this is a flat out corner, so you can see that we use full throttle here, and we approach turn number 2, the first left-hander on the track. And what can we see? We can see a very interesting thing, that the driver, even braking, of course we can see, okay, now we can see the red graph is braking, that even braking full brake potential, the driver uses a little throttle, which sometimes is used to make the car more stable. But at the moment, the more important thing for us is exiting the corner. So what can we see? Again, we have very similar situation here. Compare this thing here and this. We have like very early in the corner. Look, he's still like almost on the straight, right? He's just start turning into the corner. Still, we don't see the steering wheel angle here. Oh, okay, here we can see. Sorry, that he. Sorry, okay, now that he is turning, and again about 65, then huge ease off, again a little bit more, another ease off, and only from here the throttle application is, let's say, correct. It's not perfect because we have two steps, like flat places where he uses the same amount for a very short period of time. You can see that 25.1 up to 25.4, so about 0.3 of a second. But we can see that the distance is about 9 meters or something. Okay, so he and actually we should try to achieve something like this all the time. Of course, it's impossible to have perfect throttle application in every corner on the track, but still that's what we should aim for. Okay, good. So we exit turn number 2, which I know. Okay, it's here turn number 3. Okay, so let's use these names. Okay, so we are approaching turn number 4, and I have to say that comparing turn number 1, 2, and 3 and turn number 4, without this thing here, throttle application, let's see the map. The throttle application here is very, very good. Very good. You can see that he doesn't use the throttle at all, and then perfect application up to 100%. Very, very good throttle application, of course, without this little mountain, without this little summit here. Okay, good. So we continue, and actually, because I'd like to show you another stint, you can see the general habit of the driver, that he applies the throttle too early, and the throttle work is very poor because you have a lot of ups and downs, summits, dips, and stuff like this. So that was the first stint, the quickest lap from the first stint. Okay, and now I want to show you the second stint. And of course, after that stint, we talked, we discussed everything, and the goal was to, first of all, to make more laps, because as I mentioned before, he did only 3 lap times, and his best lap time was achieved on the first lap. So to make more laps and try to build up the speed, so with each lap he should do better lap times. Very important thing to mention, the same. We have the same setup in both stints, the same track temperatures and conditions and everything. So no changes to the car, only to the technique. Okay, so and then of course the most important, the key object, the key goal was to improve the throttle work. Okay, so let's see the second stint, which of course was 0.3 of a second slower, but still it is not that important. Okay, good. And now we switch to one color per stint, per lap, and now the red is the second stint. Okay, the red is the second stint. Yeah, now we are focused on the red color. And what can we see? Okay, let's start. Hold on a second. Okay, now should be okay. Good, perfect. Okay, so we are approaching turn number 1 and compare his work, throttle work in turn number 1. Still, it's not perfect. Okay, but comparing the second stint to the first stint is like day and night, right? So, and as I said, I don't want to show you now the gap, was he quicker or slower at that point, because it's not that important now. But the only goal was to improve the throttle application. So you can see that he achieved the goal. Okay, he improved in turn number 1. Still, we have like a small dip here, plus a couple of flat areas, but still comparing to the first unit, it's something very good. Okay, turn number 2. Turn number 2, same situation again. It's better, right? You can see also that he started applying throttle much earlier than in the first stint, but we have again a dip here. But we have one dip here and let's say 2 flat sections, and in the first stint we had like 1, 2, 3, like 3 dips, right? And more flat sections. So again, he improved. Still, there are places to improve in this corner, and then the throttle work in general to improve, but yeah, he improved, and that's the goal. Okay, next turn number 4, the second left-hander, and we can see a huge improvement because look at the yellow. We had like throttle application up to 37%, and then again 0 throttle, and then very good throttle application. And versus the red graph, where this is a very small dip, very small dip, but then again the throttle work was much better in this stint. Here we have something strange because we are here on the map. You can see that it's like a straight, but but actually it's a corner, but the line is you try to go through this corner straight, so on the map it looks like it were straight. Okay, so here we have something strange, that he had to lift up the throttle a little bit, but as I said, for now we are not trying to make the best possible time, so wasn't our goal. Okay, and now we are approaching very interesting section on the track. It's like right hairpin and quick left and right, very difficult technical section. And again, compare the graphics. You can see that the red one is much better. Here we have very small dip, very small lift, but comparing to the yellow graphic, it's much better. And then again we can say that through the section the throttle walk was, comparing to the first stint, smoother, but in general it wasn't smooth, but it was improvement, and that's good thing. Okay, and then we exit this section. We have a small straight, and what happens here? What happens here? Remember, the red one is the second stint, so with improvements. And we can see that in this very quick corner he lift off the throttle more, but still, yeah, the throttle walk, so from here to here, was very good. Okay, so let's move on. Okay, and then we have this place right here, and again we can see that exiting the corner there are no dips, right? Comparing to the yellow graphic. Okay, and now we are approaching very slow but very technical chicane. So we are here, and what can we see? Yeah, actually, yeah, throttle walk in this section isn't good, because we have like one dip, two dips, and so the throttle application, actually a very small dip here as well, so very bad throttle walk. But still, in my opinion, comparing to the yellow graphic, it's much better. Okay, and then we have a very long straight, and we are approaching the last corner, and here you can see huge improvement between the stints. And what can we see? We can see that yeah, he, even though he starts playing throttle a little bit later, but look at the throttle work. That's a very good, very correct throttle work. And comparing to the yellow graphic, it's like day and night again. So overall, he achieved the goal. He improved the technique. Of course, still he needs to practice more. And yeah, but what he told me after the second stint, that driving is easier for him, like because as I mentioned, he uses a motion cockpit, so driving is easier for him, and that's the goal, right? Because the car should move not too much, right? Only in turning, so the throttle application is important, etc. Okay, and as a bonus, I'd like to show you only this corner, the gap in this corner. So what was the gap in that point of the track? And look, and you will see something great. Okay, lifting off the throttle before the last corner, the driver was almost 0.8 of a second slower on the second stint, so with improvements. Okay, and look how much time he gained. I think, if I'm not mistaken, it's about, from this point up to the start finish line, it's like about 400 meters something. So look how much time he gained. Of course, here there's a dip, but it's not important how fast you enter the corner. The crucial thing is how quick you can exit the corner, how quick you can start applying the throttle. So what happens? Remember, start when he started braking, the gap was 0.8 of a second. Here we have like a second gap, okay, and on the start finish line, the gap was less than 0.3 of a second. So only here he gained half a second. so it's a lot. Of course, still the laps aren't consistent, which is also the key to start thinking about changing something in the car. But yeah, I'm very happy. He also is very happy, and another goal for the next session is, yeah, to do another long stint, still improve throttle work, plus we are focused more on turn number 1. We analyzed how he should approach the corner, etc. And when I receive the data, which should be on Monday, if there won't be no problems, I will upload, and you'll be able to see the second part. So the second pair of stints, like the second and the third stint. That's all for today. I hope you enjoyed the video. Please subscribe if you haven't done it yet. See my other videos, especially on telemetry analysis, both in Motec and in Race Studio 2, using Assetto Corsa, and I have one analysis from a real racing car, also in this track. So take care, have a nice day, and bye.